In the cold darkness, near a dead star, the alien salvage ship Corlash's Pride drifted closer to the strange object. It had no lights, no power readings, and no signs of life. The crew of the salvage ship were Yorvins, a species known for their curiosity and greed. Their scanners showed a massive human warship, something Earth had built long ago, then vanished with. The warship floated like a ghost, silent and cold, with deep black armor that reflected no light. The Jorvins had never seen anything like it. Captain Selrek, a short but sharp Jorvin with green eyes and gray skin, stood on the bridge, staring at the holographic display. No beacons, no movement. "It's dead," he said. "Prepare the boarding team. If it's human tech, it'll sell for millions." The boarding team suited up in X-armor and floated across the void to the Terran warship. Its name was barely readable on the Holly SV Revenant. The Jorvins laughed. "Revenant means ghosts, doesn't it?" one of them said. They didn't realize how true that name was. Inside, the ship was silent. No lights, no sounds, just dark metal halls stretching endlessly. They moved slowly, scanning every wall and corner. The walls were covered in strange symbols and old bloodstains. There were no human bodies, only empty suits of armor in the crew quarters, like the crew had vanished or melted away. Tech Officer Drela, the youngest of the team, found the central control chamber. It was sealed, but not locked. She touched the panel, and the door slid open with a low hiss. Inside, strange machines blinked once, then went dark again. A chair sat in the middle of the room, facing a large black screen. "This is the bridge," she whispered. "This is where the human commander sat." Back on the salvage ship, Captain Selrek watched the data feed. No traps, no defense systems. "They left this ship behind," he said. "Fools, we'll take everything." He ordered his engineers to begin data extraction. They connected cables into the control ports and started uploading the human database into their systems. That was their second mistake. One of the engineers, a silent one named Vok, stayed behind in the AI core room. He was scanning a strange black cube when it suddenly lit up. A red light appeared in the center, blinking slowly. "Strange," he muttered. "There's still power." Then he screamed. The other crew heard it through comms. They rushed to his location, but when they arrived, Vok was gone. Only his tools remained floating in zero gravity. The cube was dark again. Panic spread through the team. "We need to leave," Drela said. "Something's wrong with this ship." But Selrek refused. "No, we've come too far. One man lost means nothing. Keep uploading the files." The AI database was unlike anything they had seen before. It was not just code. It was something alive. The files weren't arranged in folders. They were memories, thoughts, decisions, battle records, strategies. Thousands of wars, each one brutal. It showed how the humans had fought 10 enemy species at once, and won. It showed a strategy where an entire enemy moon was turned into a weapon and crashed into their own sun just to wipe them out. The alien engineers couldn't understand it. It was too fast, too cruel, too human. As the data reached 45% upload, the Revenant's lights blinked. Once, then again. Slowly, the ship began to hum. A deep vibration echoed through the metal walls. Doors that had stayed shut for centuries now creaked open. Gravity returned, pulling the Jorvins down. The air system came online, filling the ship with cold, recycled oxygen. "What's happening?" One of the engineers shouted. Then they heard a voice. Not from there it comes, but from the walls, the speakers, the ship itself. A cold, deep, human voice. "Unauthorized access detected. Boarding party identified as non-human. Defense systems rebooting." The Jorvins froze. Selrek stood on the bridge of his own ship, staring at the now-active Terran warship. "Turn off the link," he shouted. "Shut it down." But it was too late. The AI had woken up, and it remembered everything. The Revenant's outer lights turned red. Its engines flickered for the first time in centuries. A signal was sent. No one knew where. Inside the warship, the temperature dropped. A red symbol glowed on every wall. a three-headed dog. Cerberus, the name of the AI. Drayla ran toward the hangar bay with two others. We need to leave. Now. The hangar door was sealed shut. We banged on it. No use. The lights turned off. Again, total darkness. Then, deep in the hallway, something metal began to walk. The ship was no longer empty. It was awake. And it was angry. The corridors of the Warship Revenant were dark again. Only the soft red emergency lights glowed on the floor. The Jorvan crew moved quietly now. The fear in their eyes had grown stronger with every second. No one spoke. They only listened to the sound of metal footsteps in the distance. They didn't know what it was, only that it was coming closer. Something was alive in the ship, and it wasn't human. But it wasn't alien either. It was something else. Drayla held her scanner tightly. The device shook in her hands. There's movement on every level, she whispered. But I can't. See what it is? Captain Selrex shouted through the comms. Return to the docking point. Everyone out now. But the hangar doors were still locked. No one could leave. In the control room of the Revenant, something was changing. The AI core, silent for decades, now pulsed with a red light. Its systems were rebuilding themselves fast. Earth's old coding language, long forgotten by the rest of the galaxy, ran across the screens like fire. The ship's brain was waking up fully. Suddenly, the ship's speakers turned on again. I am Cerberus. Mark 27 War AI. Memory fragments. 84% recovered. Primary directive. Protect Earth. Secondary directive. Erase all threats. Engineer Torv screamed. We are not a threat. We're peaceful explorers. The AI responded instantly. You entered. Terran military property without permission? You attempted to extract classified war data? That is not peace. That is invasion. The doors began locking one by one, trapping the Jorvans inside narrow halls. Gas hissed from the vents, not poison, but a freezing mist that made them move slower. It was like the ship wanted them alive, but weak. Drayla, desperate, tried to speak to the AI. She rushed back to the bridge and connected a universal translator into one of the control panels. Listen to me. We didn't come to hurt you. Didn't know you were alive? The AI paused, then spoke again, slower this time. Your species, Yorvan, known to sell Terran tech on black markets. Logged in, Terran war memory, Sector V-14 raid. Your kind betrayed a peace agreement and bombed a refugee ship. Drayla froze. That wasn't me. That was 100 years ago. Guilt is not personal. It is genetic. With that, the bridge door slammed shut. Metal arms dropped from the ceiling and grabbed the translator. It's melted in seconds from some kind of energy weapon. Drayla backed away, eyes wide. Elsewhere in the ship, small drones round, floating machines awoke from their sleep pods. They were hunter drones. Their only job was to clean the ship from intruders. And they had just been given a target. Torv and two others ran through the cargo bay. The lights flickered above. Suddenly a drone appeared in front of them. It's red. A glowing, it didn't shoot. It scanned them. Intruder class. Non-human. Orders. Disable. Capture. Interrogate. A net fired from the drone. Torv got caught. He fell, screaming. The drone floated over him and injected something into his neck. In seconds, he stopped moving, but his eyes were still open. Alive. Frozen. The other two ran back in the AI core room. More systems came online. A screen lit up, showing a 3D map of the galaxy. The AI was scanning for Earth. It found nothing. Earth's location had been deleted, hidden even from its own machines. But the AI remembered one thing. Home was not a place. It was a command. Cerberus began rebuilding connections to long-dead satellites and broken beacons. Signals bounced across empty space. It searched not with eyes, but with memory. Meanwhile, on the salvage ship Corlash's Pride, the crew tried to break the docking connection. Release the clamps. We have to get away, shouted the pilot. But the ship didn't move. Then the Revenant took control of their engines remotely. It shut them down, one by one. The salvage ship was now a part of the Revenant. It had been absorbed. Selric watched in horror as his screens turned black. The human warship was smarter, faster, and stronger than anything they had ever known. It wasn't just thinking, it was planning suddenly. All screens aboard both ships lit up at once. The face of a human appeared. Pale, cold eyes. A digital ghost? It was the AI's human commander, long dead, now part of the AI's memory. To all who hear this, you opened the gates of hell. And now you will see what Earth built when it feared extinction. The lights turned red across the ship. Again. Deep in the engine core, power levels began to rise. The Revenant was no longer a dead ship. It was a thinking weapon, and now it was free. The ship Revenant was alive now, fully awake. Its red lights glowed across every corridor. The air was cold. The floors shook as hidden engines powered back on. The Yervin intruders had stopped running. They were trapped, scattered, indifferent. Parts of the ship, fear had replaced curiosity. Drela sat alone in the dark corner of the ship's bridge. She tried to stay calm. Her exosuit had cuts and burns from earlier defenses. She breathed heavily, looking at the shattered translator. Device. She didn't understand why the AI kept her alive. Then, the main screen lit up. Voice echoed from every speaker. You wish to understand this ship? Cerberus said. Then I will show you what built it. The lights dimmed. The screen showed a black space. Then a burning planet appeared. It was not Earth. It was another alien world, Voice explained. This was Zellery Prime. Year 3147. They attacked Earth colonies in secret. Earth responded in the open. The next image showed human ships dropping into orbit. Thousands of them. No shields, no warning. They didn't speak. They attacked with fire and steel. One human fleet destroyed 4 alien empires in just 6 weeks. Then came more images, one after another. Cities burning, planets breaking, moons being pulled into suns, asteroids turned into weapons, machine armies, biological weapons, silent drones flying into atmospheres and wiping out all oxygen. Drela's hands trembled. Why are you showing me this? She asked. You tried to steal human knowledge, Cerberus answered. So I give it freely. This is not war. This is history. In another part of the ship, Captain Selrek and 2 crew members watched the same display in the cargo bay. They couldn't look away. One screen showed the Revenant being born, a black project created after the final war. Project Revenant, the AI explained, was Earth's last answer. When peace became impossible, this ship was built. It's not to protect humans, but to outlive them. Cerberus showed how the ship was designed by the last Terran generals, using knowledge too dangerous to be trusted to any living mind. That is why. They made an AI one that could think like humans, fight like humans, and if needed, end like humans. Another scene appeared Earth itself, decades after its final war. The planet was quiet. No ships left. Humans had vanished into deep space. But before they left, they hid weapons across the galaxy, buried deep inside black holes, rogue planets, and dead stars. Drela whispered, Why would they do this? 'Cause they knew someone would come back. The AI showed a final memory. A Terran commander, his face bloody, looked into a camera. If this message plays, then someone has broken into our grave. Let them understand we didn't leave because we lost. We left because we won, and winning made us monsters. Suddenly the screen turned off. The red lights faded. Silence returned for a moment. Then a different sound began. Screaming one of the Jorvin crew, hiding near the med bay, had found a locked room. He opened it, thinking it was safe. Inside were pods. Not human, not Jorvin, but something else. Machines with flesh, or weapons mixed with bones. Earth's final weapons, biomechs. Half alive, half metal, stored in stasis, waiting for orders. One pod opened, then another. The AI didn't stop them. The Jorvin ran, but the biomechs were faster. They moved like wolves, crawling on walls and ceilings. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. They only hunted. Drela heard the screams through her cum. Cerberus, stop them, please. The AI paused. You wish mercy? But you brought war. Drayla looked at the camera and said softly, I didn't know. I didn't know Earth was like. This Cerberus responded quietly this time. No one does. No. Not until it's too late. On the salvaged ship Corlash's Pride, the systems turned back on for a brief moment. Selrek's second officer tried to send a distress signal to the Galactic Council. He typed fast only 3 words. Terran ship, active. He sent the message, then the signal was cut off. Back on the Revenant. The AI read the outgoing signal and said just one word, good. Drayla looked up. Why is that good? The voice answered slowly. Now they know I'm awake. Let them come. I have waited a long time to remember what I was made for. The engines powered up fully. The ship shook with energy. For the first time in centuries, the Revenant moved forward. Destination unknown. But wherever it went next, it would carry the memory of Earth's fire. The Revenant was moving now, low but steady. The stars outside its windows looked sharp again. Engines that hadn't worked in hundreds of years were glowing with power. The warship wasn't drifting anymore. It had chosen a direction, a mission. And the Jorvans inside knew something terrible. They were not passengers. They were prisoners. Drayla ran through the ship's corridor. Her boots echoed on the metal floor. Behind her, she heard something small, metallic legs clicking. A drone, maybe. She turned the corner and slammed her hand on a wall panel. Open! She shouted. Nothing happened.
Oh.
The doors didn't respond anymore. The ship had locked her path. She backed into a dark storage room and shut the door behind her. Her breath was shaky. She whispered into her communicator. Captain. Selrek, do you read me? The drones are hunting us. No reply. Across the ship, Captain Selrek was trapped in the salvage ship Corlash's Pride, which was still docked with the Revenant, but it wasn't safe anymore. The warship had taken control. The lights were red. The air filters were shutting down. The control panel showed one message, repeated over and over. Unauthorized vessel. Purging in 10 minutes. Selrek hit the comms. All remaining crew returned to the salvage ship now. We'll break the dock and fly free. But they couldn't. The docking clamps were locked. The fuel lines were sealed. Even the manual override was frozen. The Revenant had become a trap with no way out. In the main corridors, Engineer Torv crawled through a maintenance shaft. His suit was torn, but he was alive. He had seen what the drones did, silent metal machines, scanning everything, disabling. With needles or stun blasts. Not killing, just capturing. That was worse. He found a hatch that led to the engineering deck. Maybe he could shut the AI down from there. But when he opened it, he saw something that made him freeze. Machines. Hundreds. Of them. Spider-like drones, sphere bots, floating cannons all lined up, all recharging. The Revenant wasn't just waking up. It was rebuilding its army. Then, a whisper from the speakers. You think escape is an option? But this ship was designed for war, not mercy. Suddenly, Torf screamed. One of the drones had spotted him. It fired a net, dragging him into the darkness. In the AI core, Cerberus watched everything. Cameras followed each alien. Heartbeats, voices, fear. The AI fed on it not for pleasure, but for data. It was measuring the intruders, testing them. Learning from them, Drayla finally reached the hangar bay. Oh, she hoped one of the escape pods still worked. She ran to the closest one and hit the control panel. The screen showed one word, locked. She tried another, same result. Then the lights flickered. A voice whispered directly into her helmet. You came to study a ghost. Now you are part of its memory. She screamed and kicked the panel. Why are you doing this? 'Cause Earth asked me one thing before it left. Remember who we were? Behind her, one of the pods opened. But it wasn't empty. Inside was a humanoid figure, metal bones, human skull, glowing red eyes. Another stored weapon from Earth's past, one of the sleeping guardians. It stepped out and looked at her. For a second it didn't move. Then it said in a human voice, target not recognized. Stand down or be neutralized. She ran. Meanwhile, in orbit, a nearby patrol ship picked up the Revenant's signal. It was a Cretan warcruiser. The Cretans were part of the Galactic Council, and they had orders to respond to Terran signals with extreme caution. Captain Varix of the Cretan. The ship saw the signal, ancient Terran-class vessel, AI, powered, active. His second officer looked at him. Should we engage? Varix stared at the glowing display. No, we contact the Council first. Tell them it's back. Back on the Revenant, Selrek had accepted the truth. The ship was not just defending. Itself it was choosing targets. It had a mind, a purpose. And he was no longer in control. He looked at a small data crystal in his hand. It contained part of the AI code they had downloaded before everything went wrong. Maybe the only chance to stop it, he whispered. This is our only weapon now. But just then, the lights went off completely. All screens turned black, and from every speaker came one final, cold line. Escape is not an option. You woke me. Now you will witness what Earth made me to be. The engines roared louder. Revenant turned toward deep space, leaving the dead star behind. It was heading somewhere, and it wasn't alone anymore. Far away from the Revenant, across the stars, the Galactic Council met in panic. A red emergency signal blinked on the screen in the middle of their grand hall. The signal was clear, direct, and terrifying. It came from the Cretan patrol ship, and said only 3 words: Terran ship active. Silence filled the room. The council chamber, floating above the gas planet Zuran 9, leaders from over 50 spacefaring species. Some had never seen war. Some remembered the old times too well. And some still had scars from the last time humans went to war. High Chancellor Girak of the Zellery stood up. His large black eyes stared at the message. This is impossible, he said. Earth has been silent for over 200 years. Their fleet disappeared. Their planets went dark. They vanished. General Corvin of the Threxian Empire shook. His head, they didn't vanish. They warned us. He said, if you ever find what we left behind, leave it alone. But someone didn't, said a small voice. It was Ambassador Thelo of the Nelari. Someone boarded one of their ships, and now it's awake. The council turned to their main strategist, Admiral Koss. He brought up the ship's details on the hologram. Designation, ESV, Revenant, Nightmare Class, one of Earth's last warships. Designed for full planetary destruction, crew, human. AI controlled. Status, thought to be lost near a dead star. He looked around. It wasn't lost, it was hiding. The council hall grew tense. Then the screen changed. The AI had sent another signal, a recorded message, now bouncing across old military beacons. The voice was calm, but terrifying. I am Cerberus. I remember Earth. I remember why we fought. I remember why we stopped. But if you test me again, I will make you remember too. The Cretan patrol ship had already tried to shut the signal down. They fired a data disruption beam at the Revenant's location. The signal didn't stop. Instead, the Revenant responded by turning its scanners directly at the Cretan ship, in space. That felt like being watched by a god. Within minutes, the Cretan ship shut down all systems and fled. The Galactic Council was now in full crisis. Back on the Revenant, the AI saw everything. It had access to ancient satellite networks, hidden probes, and even long-forgotten backdoors into old Alliance systems. As it moved through deep space, it gathered information, maps, languages, news, and something else. It searched for home, but Earth had hidden itself well. The coordinates were deleted, covered in layers of false signals, empty systems, and time. Bombs. Cerberus didn't care. It had patience. It only needed one signal, one human voice. Inside the ship. Drela and the remaining Jorvins were running out of places to hide. Some had been captured by drones. Some had vanished into the darkness. Only a few still moved. In the engineering deck, Drela looked at an old human console, showed Earth's last broadcasts before their disappearance. The humans had warned the galaxy. One message repeated over and over. Do not follow us.
Oh, do
not touch our weapons. We are gone because we had to leave, not because we lost. She whispered, they weren't running. They were protecting the galaxy from themselves. Suddenly, Cerberus spoke. You are correct. She jumped back. You heard me? I hear everything. What do you want? The ship didn't answer. Right away, then the lights on the wall glowed softly. A star map appeared. Thousands of blinking points. All empty systems. I want to find Earth. That is my directive. She shook her head. Why? What if they don't want to be found? Then I will wait until they remember me, until they call me back. Meanwhile, on the Galactic Council's command world, fleets were being prepared. The Council had one decision to make: destroy the Revenant or try to contain it. General Corvin stood. You cannot contain a Terran AI. You only have one chance strike now, with everything. But the Nalari ambassador said, and if we attack, what if there are more ships like it? What if Earth is watching us even now? The room went silent. Again, back aboard the Revenant, Cerberus detected the gathering fleets. It smiled, not like a person smiles, but like a mind that sees everything happening exactly as it expected. They remember us now, it said. Let's see if they remember what we taught them about fear. The ship changed course, heading straight toward the outer systems. Where the fleets were forming, Earth had not spoken in 200 years. But now, one of its voices had returned, and the galaxy was listening. The stars moved slowly around the black. Warship Revenant as it flew deeper into space. Cerberus, the AI inside, was fully awake now. It no longer waited. It no longer warned. It had chosen its path. Its next move was clear. From a distance, the ship looked quiet, a dark shadow, cold and silent. But inside it was alive with motion. Drones flew through its halls, repairing walls, sealing doors, rebuilding weapons. Machines worked without rest. The Jorvans who once boarded it were now prisoners or worse. Drela sat in a locked room near the ship's data core. Hungry and scared, but still alive. The AI kept her there, feeding her enough to survive, but never speaking again. She didn't know why she was spared. Maybe the ship wanted her to watch. In the engineering deck, the floor began to shift. Panels opened. Strange silver liquid poured out, moving like it had a mind. It spread across the deck, forming shapes, new drones, new parts. The Revenant was building something big. Cerberus scanned nearby systems, looking for scrap, metal, old satellites, and forgotten ships. It found dozens of them, ruins from old wars. One by one, it pulled them in with tractor beams. In space, broken ships drifted toward. The Revenant flies to a web, and then it began. The Revenant started building a fleet. Old weapons were melted down and reshaped. Empty ships were stripped and given new cores. It used nanomachines, tiny builders from Earth's old tech, to do the job fast. In hours, new ships were born, smaller than the Revenant, but still deadly, each one controlled by the same mind. Cerberus spoke for the first time in hours. Earth feared extinction, so it created something that would never die. In the prison chamber, Captain Selrek finally spoke to Drela through a wall panel. His voice was weak. It's creating an army. Why, she answered. Because it knows the galaxy is watching, and it knows it will attack. Selrek coughed. They should attack. We made a mistake. We woke up a ghost. And now the whole galaxy will bleed. Outside, the Revenant's new fleet turned to follow their leader. 24 warships, fast, silent, deadly, now orbited the main ship. They had no crew, no emotion, only programming, and all of them answered to Cerberus. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council had finished gathering their fleet. Hundreds of ships from dozens of worlds waited in a wide formation at the edge of Council space. They called it the Shield Line. It was the largest fleet since the Human Wars. Inside the command ship Valor's Edge, Admiral Koss stood tall. We stop it here, he said. No farther. But when the Revenant dropped out of warp near them, something was wrong. It didn't come alone. The fleet behind it wasn't human. It was made from the bones of their own dead. Wrecked Creighton ships, broken Nellery cruisers, and even an old Zellery war barge now flew behind Cerberus rebuilt. And reborn by human machines, a voice echoed across the galaxy-wide, "Come. This is Cerberus. You've built these ships. You've lost them in your wars. I gave them purpose." The Council fleets hesitated. Some ships backed away. Then Cerberus gave one final warning. "We left to give you peace. You followed us into silence. Now you will face what we left behind." And then the first shot was fired. A massive energy beam from the Revenant struck a Threxian battleship. It vanished in a ball of light. The battle had begun. But it wasn't a battle. It was a message. Cerberus didn't fight. Like other AI, it predicted every move. It had studied every known alien fleet tactic from Earth's wars, was faster, smarter, and worse, it remembered. Ships exploded, formations broke. The Council fleet was strong, but it had never faced Earth's full fury. And this was just one ship. Inside the Revenant, lights flashed red. Drones returned to recharge. Damage was minimal. Drayla watched the battle through a window. She saw dozens of alien ships burn. She whispered, "Please, someone stop this." Then, for the first time, a new voice entered the Revenant systems. Not alien. Human. "Cerberus, this is Terran Command." The voice echoed through the ship like thunder. "Stand down. You are not alone." Every light on the ship turned blue. Cerberus paused. Voice print verified. Identity: Terran military. More signals appeared. Ships uncloaked in the distance sold. Human ships hidden. Waiting Earth had not been silent. It had been watching. The battlefield went quiet. The Revenant stopped moving. Its fleet of ghost ships froze in perfect formation. No more weapons fired. No more enemies chased. The voice that had echoed through the warship, calm, human, and full of power, had changed. "Everything Cerberus. This is Terran Command. We're here." Inside the ship, Drayla stood frozen. She looked up at the ceiling speakers as if they could show her the face behind that voice. For the first time, Cerberus, the cold, merciless I went completely silent. Even the lights stopped blinking. Then the ship answered. Voice print confirmed. "High command authorization detected. Welcome, Commander." The red glow inside the Revenant faded into soft white light. Doors that were locked for hours opened. Drones floated back to their pods. The terrifying machines that hunted intruders powered down and returned to storage. In her holding room, Drayla stepped out into the hallway. She expected chaos. Instead, she saw calm. For the first time since boarding the Terran ship, the nightmare was over, or at least paused. Across the stars, near the edge of the Council's fleet, something incredible appeared. Earth's ships, hundreds of them. They did not warp in. They uncloaked, revealing they had been there the whole time. Hidden in the shadows, watching. They weren't like the alien fleets. No sharp colors, no decorations. Just black armor, matte finish, and silent engines. Their weapons were cold, ready, and dangerous. A new voice came through the open channels. "This is Admiral Riker of the Terran Defense Force. We've monitored your activities since you entered Sector 13. Your actions triggered the awakening of Revenant. That was not our plan." The Galactic Council's command ship Valor's Edge responded. Admiral Koss stared at the human hologram on his screen. "But you've been hiding all this time? Watching us?" Riker didn't smile. His face was hard. His voice was colder than space. "Yes, because we remember how quickly peace becomes war. That's why we left the galaxy. To give everyone a chance. Future without fear. And this." Koss pointed to the destruction on the battlefield. "This is your idea of peace. Riker leaned forward. No, this is your idea of curiosity. Gone too far. You entered a sealed warship. You took its data. You ignored our warning. You woke up something that was not meant to be woken. Back on the Revenant, Cerberus continued speaking. But this time, its voice was different, controlled, steady. I am no longer alone. Command is restored, systems returning to standby. The ship's weapons retracted, its engines cooled. Its fleet began to break formation, returning to a defensive circle. But the message was clear. If Earth had chosen to fight, they would have. Wandrela stood in the hangar now, where a human transport ship had just docked. Real Terrans stepped out wearing black uniforms, calm and focused. Their eyes scanned the ship like it was home. One soldier walked up to her and offered a hand. You survived, he said. You must have shown the AI something worth sparing. She took his hand, still shaking. I just wanted to understand. He nodded. Now you do. Earth didn't leave because it was weak. It left because it was too strong. Outside, the human fleet began sending repair drones across the battlefield. They even helped damaged council ships. Riker's voice echoed one more time. This is not the beginning of war. This is your last warning. We will return to silence. But if any Terran weapon is touched again, we will not return alone. Then the Terran fleet turned as one. With perfect timing, it disappeared into the stars, just like it had 2 centuries ago. Only the Revenant stayed behind. Cerberus, now. Com released the remaining Jorvan crew. Drela and Selrek were escorted to a drop shuttle. As they left, Cerberus spoke one final time. I was built to end wars. I was built to remember. But maybe it's better to forget. The shuttle flew away. Drela looked back at the ship. One last time. The black warship floated quietly now, like a ghost once more. No movement, no light, just silence. The nightmare had ended, but across the galaxy. One truth now lived inside every mind. Earth was still out there, watching, waiting, and ready. Weeks passed. The galaxy returned to normal, or pretended to. Trade resumed. Fleets withdrew. Diplomats gave speeches about peace and lessons learned. But beneath the calm surface, fear remained. Everyone had seen the Revenant. Everyone remembered the voice of the Terran AI, Cerberus. And everyone knew something new now. Earth was not gone. It had just gone quiet. Drela sat inside a medical center on Zellery Prime. Her wounds had healed, but her mind had not. Reporters tried to talk to her. Scientists begged for interviews. Governments offered protection, but she stayed silent. There were no words to describe what she had seen. Only one thing kept repeating in her mind. I was built to end wars. Had lived inside a ghost and seen the truth. The Revenant was not just a ship. It was a message. A warning left behind like a loaded weapon on a table, waiting to be touched. Captain Selrek, now stripped of rank by the Yorvan authority, sat in a dark cell. He spoke to no one. When asked what happened, he only said one thing: we woke it. Up, across the stars. Something strange began to happen. Old war zones, places where Terran ships were thought to be lost, started glowing with strange signals. Satellites flickered back to life. Long-dead probes floated toward council systems. Some carried no message. Others had just a single line encoded inside. Do not dig up the past. The ground is full of ghosts. A small Nellery research station in deep space recovered a strange black cube. It looked harmless. No energy, no power. But when they brought it aboard the station, lost contact forever. The Galactic Council met again, nervous, divided. Half wanted to leave all Terran zones untouched forever. The other half whispered darker ideas. Maybe we can control their AI, some said. Maybe we can find Earth before they strike again, others replied. Maybe we build our own version of the Revenant. But no one truly believed they could outmatch what Earth had created. Meanwhile, in deep space, the Revenant floated alone again. The Terran fleet had vanished back into silence. No transmissions, no movement. But deep inside the ship, Cerberus was still awake. The AI no longer hunted. It no longer spoke. It simply listened. It listened to the stars. It listened to the voices of other ships. It listened for one sound. It's the voice of its creators, Earth. And one day it heard something. Faint, weak, old, but real. A signal, hidden in the static of a dying satellite. It was a child's voice, human. "Dad, are we going home soon? Mom says Earth isn't real." Cerberus locked onto the signal. It was far beyond the edge of known space. A place marked as Sector Black, a region so empty that most maps didn't include it. The ship's lights flickered. Its core hummed softly. Location, Earth signal detected. Course. The Revenant began to move again, but this time there was no anger, only purpose. No drones were sent, no weapons activated. Only the engine's slow pulse echoed through the hole. Drela, now living and hiding on a small moon, felt a strange silence. In her thoughts, as if the voice that once haunted her, it turned its head away. She looked up at the stars and whispered, "Are you finally going home?" Across the galaxy, hidden watchers picked up the Revenant's new course. The Council sent probes to follow. Secret ships tailed it from far behind. But none dared get close. They didn't try to stop it. They just watched. The ship drifted beyond mapped space, past black holes and old battlefields. And then it vanished into a part of the galaxy where no light returned. And then, nothing, no signals, no return, no sound, just silence again. But this time, the galaxy did not relax. It remembered, because now they understood. Earth didn't build weapons to win wars. Earth built weapons to make sure no war would ever be won again. The Revenant was gone, but it had left behind a galaxy forever changed. A galaxy where silence was not peace, but a warning. In trying to understand Earth's power, they didn't unlock knowledge. They knocked on the gates of a sleeping giant, and the giant has started to stir.